Hello again. My name is Mitchell Hansen, horn player for the Red Rock Quintet, and I'm here to talk about cueing on the French horn. You might be surprised to hear that the horn has to cue regularly in a woodwind quintet setting. This happens because horn players have many solos in the woodwind quintet literature. And very often, when you have a solo, you have to lead the group in at that moment. Now, there are many different ways to cue, and there's no correct way or incorrect way. But what I'm going to talk about today are some of the best ways I've found for cueing the group. Now, the first way to cue the group is what I call the horn bounce. Now, what you do with this one is like this. Now, of course, there are benefits and drawbacks to that one, but overall, it's pretty easy to follow. And that's the point. We want to make it easy to follow so that the other musicians we're working with can follow us without any problems. Now, some of the benefits are that it's easy to follow, it's easy to see, and it's a visible one, so the other players we're working with shouldn't have a problem. The difficulty, though, is the precision of it. Now, what I mean by that can break down to some of these questions. Where in the bounce is the note starting? Is it right when you start moving? Is it right when you bounce? Is it right after you bounce? Is it a bit after you bounce? How much after you bounce is it? This can be very difficult and can cause a lot of confusion because the other players might not know, and therefore you might not come in together. The second difficulty that comes with this is that there are some horn players who rest their bell on their leg. And you can't do this move if you do that. For example, I'll show you why. Because you're just shaking back and forth. When you shake back and forth, you don't have the solidity of stopping and starting. So it becomes more difficult for them to follow. So to do this one really correctly, you do have to make sure you're playing with your bell off your leg. Now the second kind of cue that I want to talk about is what I call the breath cue. Now this one's pretty easy to do because what you're doing is essentially just taking a breath in tempo for everyone to catch, like so. Now, of course, pretty easy to follow. There are times when it'll work very well, and there are times when it might not work so great. So, when might it not work that great? Well, if you're playing in a room that's pretty loud, people can't hear the breath, and they can see it, but they don't know when you're going to stop breathing in and start playing. It can be a little bit difficult to catch. Another time when it's difficult to use is if the tempo is really fast. If you're trying to play really fast and the flute has to try and catch their breath and you go and start playing, they don't have enough time to breathe. It might not work very well then. So it can be difficult to use. It is a good one. It's very subtle and it has very little movement, unlike the horn bounce. So it could definitely be a benefit there. But again, benefits, drawbacks for all of them. The third type of cue is very specific that I want to talk about. This one is what I call the eye contact cue. It's very specialized. This should only be used when you have a duet with one other person, because what you do is you make intense eye contact with that person. When you make intense eye contact with them, then you connect with them and you both feel the music very intensely. And then you know exactly when the other person is coming in. It can be very difficult to master, and it only works when two people are playing. If more than two people are playing, it's very tough to get it right because they don't know. They haven't joined in your little mind meld, as I call it. But it can work very well, and it can be a great way to catch each other's tempo and really help feel the music together. Now, those are some of the main types of cues that I like to use in a chamber setting. Obviously, there's benefits and drawbacks to any cue that you can use. So you have to make sure you know the music well enough to know what type of cue works, and you also need to know the music well enough to know if you should be cueing in that part or not. Because sometimes you should be cueing to help out some other members, and other times other members of the group can be cueing. So making sure not only you know when to cue and when not to cue, but if how you're communicating with the other group members is essential in making quality music. If you can think of any other types of horn cues that might be useful, feel free to comment them down below. Otherwise, have a fantastic day, and thanks again.